Just with a few housekeeping notes. Since this is a small webinar, if questions, I'm assuming, Noel, you're fine. We can interrupt with questions if people have them as we go.
Sure.
Otherwise, if you want to put them in the chat box, we can answer them at the end as well. So this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the OGS website shortly. It is part of a new series of webinars that we hope to make available in the future to our members. And I'm sure Noel's going to talk a little bit more about those in a few minutes. Welcome, everybody. I'm Lily McCutcheon. I'm the webmaster for the Ohio Genealogical Society. Noel Poirier is our esteemed executive director. And he is the one that will be talking a little bit about the value of this new product that we have, along with the demonstration, and then we'll have questions and answers. With that, Noel, do you want to talk a little bit about the value to our society?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll start with what Lily mentioned earlier, which is the webinar series. This is an initiative we really kind of started in earnest in the fall of last year. Our intention is to have 2 webinars every month on kind of a how-to webinar similar to this one on different aspects of genealogy, or on using OGS resources for you, your chapter, your members, your library. And then another webinar each month that will deal specifically with maybe a specific genealogical issue or subject, which will be done by an outside party, not necessarily by an OGS member or an OGS staff person. So it's part of this kind of ongoing process to kind of add value to OGS membership and to chapter membership in a way that's kind of meaningful. And one of the reasons we're recording these is we want to make sure all these webinars are available on our website in the future, so that OGS members who are logged into the website as an OGS member can have free and unfettered access to those webinars as they need it. Now, the product we're going to talk today about, which sounds simple enough, it's an events calendar. But one of the things that I heard an awful lot in my dealings with chapter leadership across the organization was how OGS can better facilitate chapters, better help chapters, better promote chapters, so that they can increase their membership and increase their visitation, increase their what they can get out of their communities as well. And so one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that we had an easy, simple means for chapters to take advantage of a captive audience, which are the 21,000 or so folks who view the OGS website every month, and the 700 and plus folks and growing who have started viewing the events calendar. And the best way to do that, in the past, you had emailed events at ogs.org, and somebody went in and physically did this and added it to it, which added a layer of complication and lag that we thought wasn't really useful. So what we wanted to do, and Lily, should take a bow for this, was find a product that will allow you as a chapter leader, or as a chapter or programmer, or as a library program person, to actually enter your event into our calendar directly, which really allows you to do it as much as you want, promote yourself as much as you want on the calendar, get those 700 eyes to see what you're doing in your county or your library, and take advantage of that value. And so we set it up and we started playing around with it in the fall. We kind of opened it up in a beta version, which Lily's going to laugh about now, in a beta version earlier, about a month or so ago, letting you guys start to try to enter your own material. And we go in and kind of clean it up a little bit to make sure it fits the format that we want to have on the calendar. And then the purpose of this webinar was to kind of discuss that with you, kind of how we think how the information needs to be entered into the calendar so that it gets up as quickly as possible and without too much of a delay. So, to me, it's just another new way we're trying to benefit chapters and also get what you're doing out to the world in a way that is meaningful.
And with that, to tag on to what Noel said, The calendar looks very much the same. We've kept the interface and the design strikingly similar, so much that I think some people don't even recognize it's a whole new product. And the goal, which I hope we've accomplished, is to add functionality and add that interactivity with our chapters. A couple of the things that we did not necessarily have easily before was the ability to charge, the ability to link directly back to your emails and websites. It could be added manually, but it was a lot more cumbersome with our old product. This puts the power in whoever enters the information. The other thing that it does that I think is kind of neat is and you'll see it later, there's an add to calendar. Your users can subscribe to our calendar and it will drop those meetings that you schedule right onto their Outlook or Google Calendar or whatever calendar they happen to have. And, it's on their personal calendar at that point. The other thing that we are contemplating offering in the future and would be interested to hear if you find it of benefit, but I don't know if any of y'all have signed up for any of our OGS webinars or meetings, but we have, it's called the promoter, and it has the ability to set up a template that says, here's a reminder that you signed up for a webinar next week. Here's the link or not. You signed up for our webinar in 2 hours. Here's the link. Don't forget. And we have found in our personal experience that has increased our, if we have 100 people sign up, without it, we were getting 30 people show up. With the ability to promote that, we're getting closer to the 60-70% showing up, which, out of 100 people is a big difference. That's not available right now. If you do have a big event and want that done, talk to one of us and we can see if we can do that for your chapter. But that's something we may add in the future as a possibility if everybody thinks that it's of value. With that, I'm going to go to a demonstration of it. Oh, the other thing that this product allows is you can charge for things if your society wants to charge. There is a slot to be able to do that. So with that, this is what the calendar looks like. I know it's small. I'm going to be enlarging and doing a live demo, but in case, can you all see my pointer on the screen share? Okay. This blue line down at the bottom is where you would click to add your event. And if you can't find this, it's at, if you just go to ogs.org under events, this is the calendar that comes up. This is just a blow up of what I was pointing to with the blue arrow. Now, with that, we're going to do a live demonstration. And Noel, I hope I don't blow anything up. Can you all see the calendar? Mm-hmm. Okay. In case anybody hasn't, I'll say, played around with it, I have it in the month view because that's what I like. It's personal preference. If you go over here, there is a list view, and you can see what's coming up in order. Each of these, you can click on it. They are a clickable link, and you can obviously do it by day. If you need to skip ahead to look, you can skip ahead here via the year thing, and it will go a year in advance. If you just want to go out to, say, October and see what's happening then, you can click. We don't have any October meetings, but it's available. These are some of the events that are coming up. Looking forward to Librarian Day. If anybody's coming to that, that still has a few spots available, along with our OGS conference. If anybody else wants to join that, it's still open, and we have slots available in some of those workshops that are listed there. Anyway, getting to the meat of this, and I apologize for not looking directly at you, but I switched all my displays and I'm having to look off to the side to do this. If you click on this to add a calendar, I'm going to log into my fake account. It will ask you to log in so we can see who is, we don't allow anonymous submissions for security purposes, so it will ask you to log in. You can view whatever events, prior events you have submitted. Give it an event title, and Noel and Linda and everybody, my first hot tip for all this is put your chapter name or your location or your library name, because on the calendar, if you look, if somebody, in Hamilton County is looking and it says chapter meeting, they need to know that it's a chapter meeting in Cuyahoga County or wherever it is. So put either your organization or your library name or whatever, so that people can see the location easily and quickly on that month at a glance calendar. We do require some type of a description, even if you say, more details coming, that's okay too. We can edit that. I highly encourage you to put a time, and this is all in Eastern Standard Time right now. Definitely put your times in. We see several coming in as all-day events, and they're not. And then when they go to fix it or add it or edit, they end up with duplicates, and it just makes it hard to remove. So make sure you put in, if it's 6 to 8 p.m., put in a time. I mean, if it is an all-day event, great, but most of them, it appears that they aren't. You can choose an image, and it can be whatever you want, your speaker's headshot, your logo, anything you feel is appropriate to this, and you choose that image off of your own computer. So it's not a library we have to pick from. It's something that you would have on your computer at that point. We have event categories, but really right now it's either webinar, OGS chapters, or our annual conference. If we find that we need to have one that's library events, for example, if we need to add that, we can. And we are not using tags as much as they could right now, but you can certainly feel free to add a tag for searchability. And that's all that it does, is it helps people if they're looking for DNA, for example, and you want to add a DNA tag, it just helps with their search. Configure virtual events. You may or may not see this when you enter it, and it's going to depend on whether or not you have a Zoom account attached to this. I don't think people are seeing it right now, but you can ignore that. And event status, again, scheduled, canceled, postponed. You probably won't be using moved online, but you can make those modifications. The venue, and again, available venues, these populate based upon what I entered initially and what other people have added. So you can create a new venue. In other words, if you're meeting at the Elks Lodge 102, you can add that. Be sure and add your website or the link to your website that has further information. And any costs. The most important part, and this is where it hangs people up, is you have to click this little box that says, I agree to the terms, and hit submit. A lot of people don't see that little box. But other than that, that's pretty much.
Willie, can you go down to the organization? Because one of the things I've noticed in approving these is sometimes it kind of defaults to that.
It does.
And sometimes chapters have entered their actual, well, you can see them. So if your chapter isn't in there, make sure you add it so that we can make sure it's getting attributed to your chapter as opposed to OGS in general.
And again, you should be able to add yourself. If for some reason you get to entering these and you're having issues or you don't see something, shoot webmaster@ogs.org an email, that's me, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. One thing to note, that once you hit submit events, it doesn't automatically post immediately. We do review for security purposes. Right now it's going to Noel. And just so you know, he doesn't work Saturdays and Sundays. So if you submit something on a Saturday, you may not get to it till Monday. And we encourage you to submit the event as far in advance as possible, because the longer you're up on the website, the more chance people have to see it. If there is any delay in getting it up there, we aren't holding you up in that department.
And I'd also state, because of the amount of visitation our website receives, it gets crawled by Google quite a bit. And so the sooner you add crawled, means Google searches our pages for changes. So the sooner you add your event, the sooner it's going to get picked up by that Google spider that's crawling through the website on a regular basis. So that's why it's so important to put your event on there as soon as possible.
And that's it in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions or want us to demonstrate anything else?
My question was, once you've put something on, if you have a change, how do you go back and edit?
Good question. Right now, for security, I have this in my hot tips. Shoot us an email and we'll make the edit.
Okay.
We're trying to decide, based upon what we see volume wise, whether to allow edits, to have you delete and re-enter, which I don't think that's going to be a good answer, but for right now, just send us the edits via email if there are any. The other thing is to make sure you state whether it is virtual, in person, hybrid. A lot of people want to know that information.
And we have had folks put their Zoom invite information in the description. So even though it may not be connecting directly to your Zoom with the box that Lily showed you, you can put that Zoom information in there to capture folks to register for your virtual event.
That's it as far as our presentation. I hope it was informational for you. Glad to take questions, and I'm also glad if you want to enter one, whether it's later today or next month or whatever, to help you walk through it, if you have any additional questions later.
You need to be an OGS member to log in there. Is that correct?
I believe most chapters have accounts, member or non-member. If you don't have a login, again, shoot me an email if you're having trouble, and I can make sure that you do have a user account just for events if that's necessary.
Okay.
But we don't allow as anonymous submissions.
And would that be the same for libraries?
Yes.
They would have, okay. They wouldn't have to pay OGS membership to post events.
Right. If what you're posting is a genealogical event, one of our goals as a statewide organization is to funnel people to where those genealogical programs are being done statewide. So in the event that you're a librarian and you're doing a program on genealogy, you do not have to be a member of OGS to submit that event to the calendar. We would love it if you were. It's not incredibly costly, but it's not required.
And the flip side, I think what Noel is saying is that, we won't be promoting Children's Puppet Day if it's a
Right.
non-genealogical, as much as we love kids and want to get them involved.
Yeah, I'm with Summit County chapter and in different roles. And one of my roles right now is the website, and we try to cross promote with the Akron Summit County Library. And so just asking for them. But thank you for your answers.
Noel, do you have anything else to add?
No, just really excited to see how much it's been used just in the last month or so since we opened it up. It's wonderful to see how much stuff's going on all across the state. If you have any issues, you can email me or Lily, and we can kind of play around with it and see if we can fix it. But it's been really nice just to see the amount of response we've gotten. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And again, we look forward to hopefully seeing you at some additional webinars.